Since joining Arsenal in 2013 from Spanish giants Real Madrid, Mesut Ozil's career in England has been heavily scrutinised by both Arsenal fans and football critics. Despite relative success since his transfer for both club and country, Ozil's overall quality has been extensively debated by pundits and journalists, with labels such as lazy or a luxury player used frequently to describe his mentality and work ethic. Now on £350,000 per week, Mesut Ozil is the highest paid player in Arsenal's history, which has divided opinion amongst fans of the club. Whilst some question his ability to perform during big games, others believe Ozil is being used as a scapegoat for Arsenal's shortcomings over the years, with the club's lack of transfer activity being the main issue as to why he hasn't shone at his brightest. So, is Mesut Ozil worth it? Let's crunch the numbers. Mesut Ozil joined Arsenal for a club record fee of £42.5 million on a 5-year deal, a welcome arrival for Gunners fans who were calling out for a marquee signing. At the time, Ozil was the club record signing for the North London team, which has since been overtaken by the likes of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Nicolas Pepe. Renowned for his ability to create chances and support attacking players with assists, Ozil brought excitement and hope to the heart of Arsenal fans, but also a great deal of expectation to help the club deliver silverware. During his first season at the club, Mesut Ozil made 40 appearances, managing to score 7 goals and provide 14 assists. In his debut game against Sunderland, it took only 11 minutes for Ozil to make an impact, setting up Olivier Giroud to score the opening goal of the game, which they went on to win. During the same season, Ozil also helped Arsenal go on to win their first FA Cup in over 9 years, beating Hull City 3-2 in extra time to send North London into rapture. Ozil also helped Arsenal secure a 4th place finish in the Premier League, although was unable to help challenge in the Champions League, notably missing an early first half penalty in the first leg against Bayern Munich during the knockout stages, where Arsenal went on to lose the tie. When we look at Ozil's stats from his debut season, we can see that his goal return is fairly average in comparison to the other attacking players in the squad, with Aaron Ramsey in particular having a remarkable campaign with 16 goals, more than double that of Ozil's 7. However, it's when we look at assists that we see Ozil's greatest contribution to the squad, with the German topping the charts at 14 for the season, ahead of the likes of Olivier Giroud and Aaron Ramsey. So, Ozil topped the assist leaderboard for the club that year, but what about his stats compared to the rest of the players in the Premier League? If we take the highest assist contributors in all competitions from players who played in the Premier League during the 2013-14 campaign, we can see that a number of other players outperformed in this department, including David Silva, Christian Eriksen, Steven Gerrard, Luis Suarez and Wayne Rooney, who topped the leaderboard with an impressive 22 assists. Ozil has remained at the club for a further 5 seasons, and to date has played a total of 231 games for Arsenal in all competitions, scoring 43 goals and assisting 74, winning a further 2 FA Cup trophies and a World Cup with the national squad at the 2014 competition in Brazil. Despite this success, the player's contribution to his club team's performances throughout those campaigns have called into question just how valuable he is, and whether or not he has the quality to take the club further to win competitions such as the Premier League and the Champions League. Let's take a closer look at Ozil's overall Premier League career. Ozil has made a total of 166 appearances in the Premier League over 6 seasons, scoring 32 goals and assisting 52. Let's compare his figures to a player who has been at their Premier League club for the same amount of time and plays in a similar position, Tottenham's Christian Eriksen. Eriksen has played 206 times for Spurs in the Premier League over 6 seasons, scoring 49 goals and assisting 60. When you compare the assists, Ozil's 0.31 assists per game marginally beats Eriksen's 0.29 assists per game. In terms of goals scored, Ozil sits at 0.19 per game, whilst Eriksen has a slightly better ratio of 0.24 per game. However, Eriksen has taken almost 3 times as many shots as Ozil, with 558 compared to 196. The German's shooting accuracy is also better than the Danes, with 45% of his shots being on target compared to 37%. Ozil and Eriksen also both share the same win ratio of 57%, with a similarly high number of passes per match of 62.35 and 53.56 respectively. Despite getting the better of the Dane through most of his attacking play, it's the defensive department that Ozil is usually heavily criticised for, and this is clear when we look at the data. When we compare the two, it's obvious that defence is not the Arsenal man's greatest strength. We can see that Eriksen does more for his team to win the ball back from the opposition, with more overall tackles, blocked shots, interceptions, clearances, recoveries, and duels won during his spell with Spurs. Surprisingly, however, Ozil's tackle success of 71% is only slightly behind Eriksen's 73%, so an argument could be made that when Ozil does attempt to win the ball back, he is potentially more efficient than his Danish counterpart. Another stat which stands out above the rest are offsides, with Ozil caught by the linesman 77 times compared to Eriksen's 5. That could be due to the roles of each player at their club, with Ozil perhaps encouraged to make more forward runs than Eriksen. However, that is still a staggering 15 times more occasions that Ozil has been flagged by the linesman. When it comes to their transfer price, Ozil was 3.5 times more expensive than Eriksen, with Tottenham paying Ajax £11.5 million for the Danish playmaker compared to £42.5 million for Ozil. If we measure success through silverware, Ozil has cost Arsenal roughly £14.2 million per trophy based on his transfer fee, whilst Eriksen has cost £11.5 million but obtained none. Overall, Ozil and Eriksen seem to have fairly similar statistics across a number of areas. However, when we look at last season in isolation, we can begin to understand the criticism Ozil receives. In all competitions during the 2018-19 season, Mesut Ozil made 35 appearances, scoring 6 goals and assisting 3. Eriksen, on the other hand, played 12 more games, scored 12 more goals and assisted 10 more than the German. Both players reached European finals in that season, though Eriksen saw defeat in the more prestigious Champions League final compared to Ozil losing in the less coveted Europa League final. Let's look at the Premier League table last season. Arsenal finished 5th, missing out on a Champions League spot by just 2 points. Some Arsenal fans look at this season as a failure, and Ozil's performances have been judged heavily as one of the reasons for their lack of success last year. Let's look at the stats of the playmakers from the top 6 clubs in the Premier League last season to see if we can determine Ozil's worth in comparison to playmakers from other teams. Ozil played the fewest games in the Premier League compared to other midfield playmakers due to back and knee injuries throughout the campaign. However, his stats still hold up reasonably well against his peers. Ozil outscored both Mateo Kovacic and Jorginho Wijnaldum, yet the pair do play a deeper role for their squads compared to Ozil as a number 10. He was, however, one of the lowest contributors of assists during the season, something he is renowned for, with the likes of David Silva, Paul Pogba and Christian Eriksen providing plenty more, albeit with more game time. Defensively, Ozil struggled yet again, bottom of the list for tackles, tackle success, blocked shots, interceptions, clearances and duels. Ozil is also the only player in the list to have offside numbers in the double digits, with the others all below 10. He was, however, the most disciplined, with only 2 yellow cards and no red. If we look at the transfer fees each club paid for their respective player, we can see that Mesut Ozil's fee is fairly expensive compared to that of some of his counterparts. Obviously, inflation plays a part in some of the vast differences between some prices, such as Paul Pogba's phenomenal fee of £94.5 million. However, the likes of David Silva and Christian Eriksen have much lower transfer fees with relatively similar or better statistics. If we break the transfer fees down further, Mesut Ozil has cost Arsenal £988,370 per goal and £574,324 per assist over the course of his Arsenal career, winning 3 FA Cup trophies in the process. Compare that to David Silva, who has cost Manchester City £352,152 per goal and £192,307 per assist, winning the Citizens 4 Premier League titles, 4 League Cups and 2 FA Cups. A noticeably better return on investment at a lower overall cost, although he has been at the club an extra 3 seasons. Paul Pogba, on the other hand, has cost Manchester United £3,048,387 per goal and £2,197,674 per assist since re-signing from Juventus in 2016, winning 1 League Cup and 1 Europa League. Interestingly, all 3 of these players have won the World Cup with their national teams. One of Ozil's biggest criticisms is his work ethic on the pitch, with pundits and fans labelling him as a lazy player who does not put the effort in, sometimes going missing in more important games. One way we can measure this is by looking at how much distance Ozil covers per game for the Gunners. Last season, Mesut Ozil managed an average of 10.49 kilometres per 90 minutes. Christian Eriksen, on the other hand, covered 12.28 kilometres per 90 minutes, which means that Ozil was almost 2 kilometres behind the Spurs man every game last season. Arsenal's best player in this department was Aaron Ramsey, who was not far behind Eriksen's distance with 12.26 kilometres per 90 minutes. This statistic is perhaps one of the main reasons why many people see Ozil's performances as being lower than expected. When you combine this metric with Ozil's lacklustre stats from last season, you can start to build a picture as to where these lazy labels come from. Let's compare both players' seasonal heat maps from their Premier League campaign last season. We can see that both players frequently take corner kicks for their club, but the two play a very different style for their teams, which could explain some of the previous numbers we've already covered. Whilst Eriksen plays in a more central area in the final third for Tottenham, Ozil predominantly spends most of his time on the wings. Both also spend a majority of time in the opposition's half, yet Eriksen can be seen playing a lot deeper than Ozil. This may explain the reason that Ozil's defensive stats are lower than expected, as he is often waiting on either wing of the opposition's half to help the team break on the counter. Eriksen, on the other hand, spends a lot of time in the centre of the pitch, linking up play in the number 10 role, whilst also falling deeper to help defend and pick up play from the back. Perhaps this suggests that Mesut Ozil is not being utilised to his strengths, and that he is not being played in his more preferred central role. This could be the reason why his numbers have decreased over the years. Another interesting point to note is that Mesut Ozil currently holds the record for the most consecutive Premier League games with an assist, with 7, between the 26th of September to the 21st of November 2015. Ozil was also the Premier League's top assist provider during the 2015-16 season, with 19 assists that campaign, 6 ahead of second place, who was, yet again, Tottenham's Christian Eriksen. Looking at his seasonal stats, Ozil had his best season during the 2015-16 campaign, but since then he has regressed somewhat, with his numbers dropping season by season. So, is Mesut Ozil worth it? Based on the data I had available, it's clear that Mesut is not the best playmaker in the Premier League, and there have certainly been others which have outperformed him in certain areas of the pitch. Ozil clearly has the ability to perform at the highest level, with his assists and shot conversions more than justifying his price tag, but it's consistency which lets the number 10 down. Ozil has brought Arsenal domestic success in the form of silverware, and if that is the measure in which players are judged, then 3 FA Cups across 6 years could be seen as a fair return. However, with the expectations at Arsenal set a lot higher, with hopes of European success on many minds, it's clear to see why fans of the club are disappointed with the overall impact the German has had on the club's trophy cabinet and in performances towards the latter part of his Arsenal career. So what do you think? Is Mesut Ozil worth it? Make sure to leave your comments below, subscribe to the channel and like the video. See you next time on Crunching the Numbers.